Hi everyone, welcome again to another crochet infusion. Thank you all so much for being here today. So today I'm going to show you all how to do a beanie hat, and for my beanie hat it is for a medium size adult beanie hat, and I'm going to be using Aran yarn. This yarn is from Aldi. It's Aldi So Crafty Aran yarn. I've got mustard and navy blue. You can use any colours you wish, but I will be starting with the blue, which is the part of the brim of the hat. So you can do this in one piece colour if you wanted, or you could have more colours if you wish. So I'm going to be using a size 5 crochet hook. You're going to need a tapestry needle. I do have a row counter, but that's not always necessary. Scissors and also a measuring tape, which a measuring tape is most definitely needed. So for this beanie hat, as I said, it's an adult medium size beanie hat, and this is to fit circumference around the head of somewhere around 21 to 22, because beanie hats do tend to stretch a little as well, so it will fit around a 22-inch circumference head, and the height of the beanie hat at the end will be 11 inches. That's from the crown to the ear. So to begin, I'm going to start with the brim. So if you wanted to do yours a different size, you would chain different numbers. The stitch I'm using is done in even number of stitches, so just make sure if you need to chain more to make it larger or less to make it smaller, just know that you need even number of stitches. Okay, so to begin, I'm going to start by making a slip knot. So to do your slip knot, you're just going to wrap the yarn around your finger, take that loop off, and you've got this tail hanging here. That is just going to fold over that loop and pinch at the bottom, and I'm going to take my hook, insert my hook and pull that centerpiece through and push that to my hook, so that is now secured to my hook. So we're going to start by doing a chain of 22, because the brim of my hat is 5 inches long, and that's because it's going to be folded to 3. So a brim on a hat is any size you wish, but mine's going to be 5, but like as I said, it will be folded as well. So I'm just going to hold onto my yarn and pick up the yarn and pull through this loop that's already attached on my hook. So pull the yarn through the loops, that's 1, and pick up again and pull, so that's 2, pick up your yarn and pull through the loop, that's 3, and we're just going to keep working like this, doing our chaining till you get to 22 chains. So I will meet you back once I've got 22 chains, and that will be after 22 chains we will be putting a new colour on. Okay, so I've got 22 chains now in the blue. So the blue is for the ribbon of the hat, for the rib, for the front of the hat, the bottom part of the hat. So I'm going to pull that hook out of there for now, and I'm just going to rest them 22 chains just there, just for a moment, while I pick up the mustard colour, and I'm going to make another slip knot and do another chain. But before we do any chaining, we're just going to make a slip knot and attach that to the hook. And I'm just going to take my hook back out of there for a moment and just going to leave that there with it ready to go. So now I'm just going to pick up the blue again. I'm just going to make that so it's not too tight to the hook, but it's where it should be. And then I'm going to pick up the mustard, and this mustard one is just going to tighten that to my hook, and I'm just going to simply pull that through the loop, and then I'm going to continue on chaining, and we're going to do a chain of 28 in the mustard. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just keep chaining until you've got 28 chains in the mustard and 22 chains of your blue. If you are not changing colours, obviously it's just going to be 48 chains straight through. Okay, so once you've finished it with your mustard chain, you should have 28 in the mustard and 22 in the blue, total of 48 chains, which will measure roughly about 11 inches. So this is the top of the hat, and this here is the bottom of the hat. So just so you know what we're doing here, because it might seem a bit confusing, because there are many different ways of obviously doing beanie hats, and this is one of the ways that I like to do them. This is the flat beanie hat way. So going from this side here with the mustard side is going to be the stitch for the woven stitch, and to do the woven stitch we're going to go into the second chain from the hook, and we're going to do a 1 single crochet. So find your where your hook is and go into the second chain, so not this one but into the next chain, and make a 1 single crochet. So to do a 1 single crochet in the second chain, insert your hook, pull the yarn through and pull through those 2 loops and chain 1. So because we've done that chain 1, we then skip the next chain and we're going to go into the following chain. And so we're not going to go into this next one, we're going to go into the one after that and do a 1 single crochet and then chain 1. So that chain 1 acts as the chain below, because we're skipping that one. So then we're going to go into the next and do another 1 single crochet and chain 1, and then skip again for another 1 single and a chain 1. And that's all we're going to do for this row of the mustard. And when we get to the blue we will be changing stitch again. So go on to the next one, skip 1, 1 single, chain 1, skip 1 single in the next, chain 1. And as I do this stitch I like to count, so I'd go 1 and 2, skip 3 and 4. Obviously my stitch count right now is not correct because obviously I've started up here and I'm only just counting it down here, but as an example to keep up with your stitches if you're counting as you're going along, so you do need to count that chain 1. So then skip again and go into the next and do another chain 1 and then skip, and you'll have a total of 27 stitches at the end of this. And we're just going to take you right up to the blue to show you what you need to do next. So as you can see we've got one last one here. So this very last one here we're actually just going to drop the mustard, and I like to just pull that mustard in front just like that, and then I'm going to pick up the blue and we're going to pull through those 2 loops of the mustard. We're actually not going to complete that stitch, that very last one. So then we're going to go into the very next stitch from here and we're going to do a 1 single crochet in the blue. So that's 1, into the next, that's 2, and because we chained 22 stitches, you're going to have 21, we did a chain of 22, we're now going to have 21 chains at the end of this as well. So just 1 single crochet in each chain all the way along for 21 stitches at the end. So just keep working 1 single crochet, making sure you've only got 21 stitches. And then when we get to the end here, we're nearly there. So just 1 single crochet in each chain. When we get to the end, we don't chain 1 to turn, we just simply turn. So I'm at my very last stitch here now, I've got 1 more to go. This is the last one now. 1 single crochet. Now things get a little bit messy when you're working with 2 colours, as you can see they kind of get a bit stuck. So what you want to do is move your colours around. So one's on one side and one's on the other side. so then you can work a little bit better without getting tangled. So just simply turn your work. So now this is the back of the hat. I'm going to move this blue yarn here, my working yarn, and just moving that in front of me for one moment, just while I get into that back loop only. So each row now is one single crochet, back loop stitch only. So we're just going to do one single crochet, back loop stitch only, and again you will only have 21 stitches of the blue. And I'm just going to sort this out again because it's got a bit of a mess. So just make sure you are not working into the foundation, you're working on the top of these stitches of the back loop only. And if you pull your work towards you slightly, you will be able to find where the front loop and the back loop is. So the back loop is just this one right at the very back, and it's just one single crochet. And then when we get near to the mustard, we will then start the woven stitch again, and we're just going to keep working like this for as many rows as we need to for the circumference size that you want it for. So this is working, it's going to be working up ways, and that is going to be for the circumference. So here I am right at the very end now, so I'm just going to turn that the right way because it kind of went a bit funny. So go into that last stitch and we're just going to drop the blue. I like to bring the blue just slightly forward towards me and just hold that around my hook and keep hold of that there with my thumb. And I'm just going to pick up the mustard and pull the mustard through those two loops. So when you start another row on this, you are supposed to chain one, but in my case for this beanie hat I don't chain one. I'm just going to go straight into the next stitch and repeat the pattern. So here you will see where we need to go. So we need to skip this very first one here, and we're going to go into that next stitch. It's quite large open, so just go straight into there, do one single crochet and a chain one. And I've just got a bit stuck again with the yarns. So one single crochet, chain one, and if you look, it almost looks like a H or two legs. We're going to skip those two legs and we're going to go into the next chain space. I mean, it's quite obvious where the chain space is, but when you're new to doing this stitch it can become quite confusing and you can get lost of where you're up to. So as long as you know, you should have either look-alike of a letter H or two legs. You know you need to go to the stitch right directly next one along from that, so then them two legs are in the middle. So then skip it again, one single, chain one, and you will have 27 stitches at the end of this row. And that's all you're going to keep doing for pattern repeat. At the end of the row on the mustard only, you chain one before you turn. With the blue you don't, you just literally turn and go into the back loop only stitches all the way for each row. So I'm just coming to the end of this row now. So this is the very last one here, and chain one. And we're actually just going to do a one single crochet into that chain one space from the very first row. So make a one single and a chain one and then turn your work. And then we're still working in the mustard because we're going back across and then we'll be picking back up the blue. So to work back across, we're going to skip these two legs right here, and we're going to go into that next stitch just like we did on the first row. So those two little legs there, we're going to skip those and go into the next space and do one single, chain one. And if you look again, there they are. You see, you might get confused and go here rather than here. So don't be mistaken, make sure there's two, should be two posts right there, and then do your stitch. So one single, chain one, skip those two, one single, chain one, and as I said, it's 21 stitches, 27 stitches for the mustard and 21 for the blue. So I'm just going to keep working like this until I get to the blue, and then I will show you again what you need to do when you get to the blue. Okay, so I'm just coming to the end of this mustard row now. So as you can see, I've got just those two there and then just there. So here is going to be the last one, so that's going to be 25, chain 1, 26, and then last one into here, except for we don't go all the way through to finish that stitch. I'm just going to move that mustard round to the front of my hook, pick up the blue and pull through those two loops that's on my hook. I'll just try that again. So we're just going to pull that there, pull the blue through those two loops, and then as you can see right here is the back loop stitch, and do a one single crochet and just pull on that mustard a little bit. If you want to, just tighten that in slightly. So then it's one single crochet, back loop only again, this time working in the blue. And as I said, it's always a good idea just to move your yarns around as you're working, especially when you're turning your work all the time, because it can get quite messy with your yarns. So just back loop only, one single crochet. So I'm just going to keep doing a one single crochet for 21 stitches. I'll meet you back when I get to the end of this row. Okay, so I'm right near the very end now of the blue of the back loop only one single crochet. So I've got one there, one single crochet, and then I'm at the very last one right here. So as you can see, sometimes when you're doing back loop only, the top bit here does sink in, so you can just go dig your hook in there and you can just about pick it out. And then I take two of those loops when I do the end here for the ribbed, for the beanie hat, because I think it gives it a much nicer finish by going through those two. So I pick out the back loop and then I dig down a little further and pull that through and do a one single crochet and then turn, and I don't chain one with the blue. So then, because it's a bit awkward trying to get to the back loop and your yarn is like that and you like this, and then you're kind of like making a mess, so rather than getting yourself in a fuss like that, just pull that yarn towards the back and hold it towards the back way and go into that very first stitch, insert your hook, pull through and pull through two loops. So that's one, and then into the next stitch for the back loop only, and just keep working the back loop stitch all over again. And you're just going to keep continuously repeating this all the way up until you've got the desired circumference size that you want. For me, I'm going to get this up to 22 inches. So you can also do that as well, or 21 inches. You can just stop, measure. If you've lost count how many rows you've done and you really want to keep track of that, if you look on this stitch is probably the easiest way to go. Where you've got these legs, you'll be able to find one on that row, on that row, that row, and it'll be like a zigzag. So you will then be able to determine how many rows you've done. So 1, 2, 3 rows. So we're on row 4 already. So that is one great way of knowing 1, 2, 3, definitely 4th row running. So that is a great way for you to know where we're up to. So just remember to do your 1 single crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1 and turn. When you're working on the blue, you just turn and just make sure you move the yarn out of the way so you can get into that back loop easier. So I'm going to meet you back once I've done up to 22 inches, so that's going to fit around the head. So when I've done 22 inches, I'll be back and show you what you need to do next. So just keep working like that, row by row. If you get stuck, just go back on the video so you can go back to see where you need to go. So I'll be back once I've done all my rows. Okay, so this is how mine is now looking. I think I've got about 104 rows in total, so I'm just coming to the end here now. So I'm just going to do my last single crochet in this chain 1 space at the side here, and just do a 1 single crochet just like so. So now we need to I'm just going to sort this out a little bit. So this is going to be the inside of my hat. So when you are ready to start sewing yours together, I'm going to sew together the mustard and then sew together the blue separately. But before I do that, I'm going to do along this top here just 1 row of 1 single crochet. So before I begin that, I just want to turn this the right way before I begin. Just move this yarn out the way. So it's quite a big piece now, so I'm just turning it the right way, and I am just going to do a chain 1, and I'm just going to work along the top and just do 1 single crochet as long as they're even all the way around, and that's just to when we come to fastening it up at the end. So I'm just going to go, I'm not doing the same stitch as what I've done here, it's just going to be plain 1 single crochet. So I'm just going to go into this next stitch here and just do 1 single, just do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Just make sure it is as even as you possibly can. And because we are actually working into the foundation chain here, so just be careful. So I'm just going to keep doing 1 single crochet along the top just as evenly as I can, and I'll meet you back when I get to the end. Like I say, you are working into the foundation chain at the beginning here, so just be careful not to widen the stitches out too much. Okay, so I've just finished doing a 1 single crochet all the way along this top. So it's just 1 single crochet, and now I'm here. This is the side piece. So this here is the I think this is the inside of the hat or the outside of the hat. Well, whichever way you want the inside and whichever way you want the outside, doesn't really make a big difference. So I'm just going to go into this very last stitch just here and make a 1 single crochet. So here I'm going to join the round together, so I'm going to fold it in half, and actually I'm not going to crochet this together simply because this here is the foundation and this here isn't the foundation. Now you can do a slip stitch to join this together, but I'm actually going to be using a tapestry needle. I just feel it might be a bit nicer of a finish for the seam. So I'm going to now cut a long piece of yarn fairly long, because I've been using it to sew here and possibly for the top as well. So I'm just going to cut some length of yarn and pick up my tapestry needle. Sorry about the noises, it's from my scissors. So I'm just going to take my tapestry needle and attach that on. So before I actually carry on here, I actually haven't fastened off, so I'm just going to do that now. I'm just going to pull that through. So just keep pulling that through. I'll have to reattach that back on, and that will just make a nice little knot just to secure that in place. So I'm just going to reattach on the tapestry needle and then start sewing this together. So I'll be back once I start sewing this together for you, so you know what to do. Okay, so I've just turned this the other way round because I want this side here to be the outside, and this here is the outside, and this is the inside, because we're working inside out. So this here is the inside, which is facing up, and the inside, the outside is on the inside, so it's switched around the other way around. So basically we're now just going to simply start sewing this together just along here, and then we're going to change to the blue yarn to join the blue together so it looks the same. So to start with this, I've just got my tapestry needle and I'm just going to go straight through this corner right onto here. So you can turn this around if you want to, whichever works out best for you. So we're just going to basically do what's known as a whip stitch. So we're just going to go through this stitch here through to the next stitch. Just make sure it's lined up to the best that you can, as flush as you can together, otherwise your hat, you don't want it to be wonky, you want it to be as straight as possible. So just by working, weaving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, a bit like a zigzag snake kind of effect, all go round and around. So I'm just going to go through the top stitches. So if you just look through here, I'm just going through that one and through that one here, because this is, as I said, one of them is the foundation chain, and I want that to be quite a nice seam on the inside. I don't want it bulky showing. Now you can use your crochet hook if you wish and do slip stitching or single crochet to join the seams together, but because I've still got the foundation, you will see that joining, which is why I'm using the tapestry needle. So this is your beanie hat, you can do whichever you prefer. So I'm just going to keep going through this stitch and then onto the opposite stitch to join it together all the way down in the mustard, and then I'm going to weave it back up to here again, so then we can weave the top. But before I do, I'm just going to work down here, and then I'll meet when I'm down here to work back up this way. So I'm just coming now to the end of sewing this mustard in along the side, so I've just got one more to go just here, and I've just kept it the same all the way down, and then we're going to be working onto the blue. So I'm actually just going to do one more just here at the very bottom, and I'm just going to put my tapestry needle through that loop just to secure that into place, just there like so. And then I'm just going to weave this now back through to take it back to the top. So I'm just going to go through the best that I can. and just weave this. So the yarn is now back up to the top. So this is just the inside of the hat. So I'm just going to go through the stitches. Just so I can get this back up to the top. So once you've finished getting that all the way to the top, I'm then just going to take this blue yarn, and I'm actually going to cut a length of yarn because that's already attached to here. So I'm just going to cut a bit of length and attach my tapestry needle to here, and do the same again with the blue. Except for with the blue, I probably won't weave it back through up to the top because I don't need to, because that bottom piece needs to stay open, because that is the bottom of the hat. So just line it up the best that you can and begin to start weaving. So because my yarn's on this side, I'm actually going to go through the back and bring that back through to the front, and just repeat what I've already been doing. So just going from one stitch to the next stitch on each side, and just keep working all the way down on the blue. So I'll meet you back once I've finished with the blue and I've got the mustard back to the top over here to show you what you need to do next. So just before we finish off at the blue here, I'm just going to quickly show you how to finish off at this very end piece here at the very bottom. So because you've got your slip knot here from where we started the chain at the very beginning, you don't want to go actually through that actual slip knot because it can come undone. So just go to the side of there and put your last stitch into there, and just go back through one more time and just put your tapestry needle through that loop and pull that through twice, and that will help to secure that into place, and just pull nice and tight and make sure that's secure and closed. And also just weave your tail ends in. So I've got a tail end here and a tail end there, so you just want to weave that in so they're out of the way as well. So I'll be back once I've got this piece all the way up to the top of here. Okay, so now I'm at the back at the top of this hat. So now I'm just going to join this top piece together a little bit better again. So I'm just going to go through here and pull that through. So now we're right on the top. So what we want to do now is close this together. So the way to do that is we're going to go into this first stitch here where we did the one single crochet, and we're just basically going to weave in and out of each stitch. So we've come through that one, I'll skip the next one and then just keep weaving in and out. And I'm just going to skip one stitch. It doesn't really make a big difference if you skip one or not. And just pull them through. And when you pull that together, it will tighten everything up like so, like a drawstring. So I'm just going to keep working like that all the way around the hat. So just going through these top stitches of the one single crochet that we did. You can go through every single one if you want, or every other one. And when you pull that together, that pulls it all tight. So I'll meet you back once I've got all around this hat to show you how to close it completely. Okay, so I'm nearly now at the end for the gathering. You don't want to pull on this too tight because we have kept, well, I have kept the same yarn running back up. So if you pull it too tight, it's all going to bunch up, so you don't want that. So you just want to pull it at the best that you can. I've been kind of gathering mine as I've been working, so you can do that too, that's optional. So I'm just going to pull it till it's tight as enough as I think, And then this top piece here, I'm just going to then just start sewing that together, this centre piece here. So just pull a little bit more to whatever you feel. Like I say, you don't want this back piece bunching up either. So once you're happy and you've got it at what you want it at, that's when you can then just start closing this over just by using your tapestry needle, going through the top stitches and just weave in and around at that centre to completely close that up. And don't forget, this is the inside of the hat, so make sure you are working on the inside of the hat, and then when this is sewn up you can turn it the other way around to have a look to see how it's looking. Okay, so once you're happy and you feel that centre is now closed, once again just put your tapestry needle through that loop. I'd put that through twice just to secure it together, and just pull on that, and then you can, if you want to add a pom-pom, you can quite easily do that, but remember to turn your hat the other way round. And that is your beanie hat. You can just weave this tail end in and check it fits, and hopefully it will do. So I'm going to be attaching a pom-pom onto mine, so that is where the seam where we done the joining at the back here. It's quite virtually invisible, which is what I wanted. So you can have this beanie hat with a small ribbon at the front here, or you can have it all the way up. The choice is yours. That's why I did a longer ribbon brim, which is 5 inches. So you can fold it, you can either fold it halfway or fold it as much as you need it to. So to do the pom-pom, I'm going to be using Clover Pom Pom Makers. I'm going to do a navy blue pom-pom, and I think I'm going to go with quite a largish one because I might cut it down a little bit as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make a pom-pom. If you don't have a pom-pom maker, there are plenty of tutorials out there for lots of different pom-poms, ways to do it with just using bits of cardboard and things. But I'm going to go ahead and make my pom-pom. Once my pom-pom is made, I'll come back and show you how to attach your pom-pom onto your hat. Actually, I've just decided I might just quickly do a quick tutorial to use these Clover pom-pom makers. So as you'll notice, there's like 2 on each side, so you want to pull them out so it's straight. One's got a going round that way and one's got a dip going that way. So to begin, you're just going to line those 2 up, these swing. You want to line them both up to the same. Pick up your yarn. In my case, I'm using blue to match the bottom of the hat for the brim of the hat. And we're just going to simply hold that in place and just start wrapping that round as evenly as you can. And you want to keep it even going around. And making sure that you get into the corners as well. So this is all you're going to do with these Clover ones, is just wrapping round this side and wrapping round that side. And you want to make sure you've got the same even amount for each side, so even amount for this side and even amount for that side. And the way to do that is, if you look, you will notice I've got that dip that we've got there. That dip then becomes no longer a dip, so just keep working round. And this is quite a large, this is the largest one for the pom-pom, and the reason why I'm using the largest one for, because I trim mine down and I don't want it to be too small once I've trimmed it down, so I'm using the large one. And just keep going around and around, but you don't want the yarn to come over the edges here either, but you do need to get into the edging the best that you can. So just keep raveling around. If you wanted to do, say, 2 colours, then you would use 2 colour strands of the yarn and wrap it round. If you wanted to do, say, one colour at the bottom and one colour at the top, you would do one colour, one solid colour here and another solid colour here. So, or you could do a multicoloured one by just using multicoloured yarn and do it that way as well. But as I said, with pom-poms, you know, you can make pom-pom makers just out of a piece of cardboard, so you can just use your hand, you know, whatever works for you really. But I decided to get one of these clover ones, and I'm glad I did, because they really are good. So just keep raveling that round. And eventually that dip will eventually start to go. So I'm just going back and forth, raveling the yarn around. And you want to keep it neat as you're working, going around. So I will be back once I've finished raveling this all the way around and show you what you need to do next. Okay, so I'm going to just stop right there. I've got quite a lot on here, so all we're going to do is hold that piece of yarn up and I'm just going to fold that in to there, and then we're going to move across to this side now. So I'm just going to pull that from there and just pull and start working on this next one. So you just push that one inside and then start working onto the next one, and making sure you keep this even and the same amount as what you've used on that side. So I'll meet you back once I've finished doing this side and show you what you need to do next. Okay, so once you've got enough yarn wrapped around, you're just going to take your scissors and just cut that last piece just there. So just hold it in place and take your scissors and then just cut, and then you're just going to hold that there and close that in. So now we're just going to take the scissors and we're now just going to start cutting in between here. So your scissors will just fit in there, and you're just going to cut nice and slow, no need to rush, and just make sure you're following that groove on the inside. And that is one side done nearly, and then just cut. So that is one side done, and then turn, and then we're going to do the same again on this side. So you're just going to cut exactly the same as you did on the first side. So I'll meet you back once I've finished cutting all this up to show you what you need to do next. Okay, so once your is all cut on both sides, you're just going to take some yarn and you're just going to wrap that around the Pom Pom Maker and just pull it taut and just simply make a knot, and then you can bring that around this side and make a knot again, except for on this side I'm going to do a double knot just so it's nice and secure. So I'm going to put that through there twice. And pull. So once you're happy that's nice and secure, you can now take this apart. So just lifting up, before we do, we just need to lift up these two. So just do one at a time if you need to. So there's one, and then two, and then do the same for this side. like I say, just do one at a time, and then they will then just pull apart. So there is your pom-pom. Give it a good shake. You could, if you wanted to, put a piece of paper down first, because obviously it's quite messy. I'm now going to give this a little trimming up. As you can see, there's little long and shorter pieces. So all I'm going to do here, I'm just going to trim around at where I think needs a little cut, and just try and cut it as evenly as you can, and then I'll be back to show you how to attach it to your hat. Okay, so once you've finished it with your pom-pom and you've finished trimming it over, obviously you can just keep trimming until you're happy with that. So I'm just going to now attach this on with my tapestry needle, or of course you can just use your crochet hook if you wish. So I'm going to use my tapestry needle, and just straighten that out a little, and I'm just going to go from this side here and pull that through right at the center at the top, and take the next tail, because you should have two tails, and pull that, go into the opposite side to that's there, so that one's going to go there, and just simply pull, and then you can just turn your hat inside out and just basically tie it all together. And I've got to sew that inside of that mustard in, so make sure that's pulled quite taut, not too taut that you snap the yarn, but taut so it's nice and tight to the top of the hat. Just going to do one, and just give this a couple of knots around to make it nice and secure, and then I will weave the ends in and then just simply cut. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that's quite secure, and if you want to just double check before you go ahead and start cutting anything, you know, you can do that as well. So I'm just going to cut some tails and weave those tails in, and once that is weaved in, that is complete. So I hope today you have enjoyed my tutorial, and that is the complete finished of my beanie hat. So I hope, like I say, you've enjoyed today's tutorial. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. I'm also on Facebook at Crochet Infusion. So until next time, thank you all so much for being here today. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial, and I will be back very soon with some more things for you all. Thank you all. Bye.